Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and welcome to Work Trends with Meghan M. Biro. Whether you're here to network, learn, or share, we want you to have fun. During this live broadcast and Twitter chat, we'll discuss the future of work with smart and entertaining guests who value today's business and its impact on the world of work for the future. Stay tuned, because we start in 3, 2, 1.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's Work Trends. This is not Meghan Biro. This is Cindy Travella. I work with Meghan at Talent Culture. Meghan is having some technical difficulties with her phone technology. When it's working, it's wonderful, and when it's not, it's not. But I am here, and we have a wonderful show and some wonderful guests lined up for today. Now, because we're kind of doing this a little bit spontaneously, I'm just going to ask, is Mary and Sara on the phone with us right now? Well, it appears that they might not be. Let me just see here. Mary
Meghan?
and Sara, are you on the phone? Hi.
Yeah, this is Sara.
Mary and Sara.
Hi.
Oh, hi there. Hi. No,
Yeah.
no, not Meghan, not Meghan. She's having technical difficulties with her phone.
Cindy. Okay.
Yeah, this is Cindy.
Okay,
Hi,
great.
how are
Yeah, because
you?
we heard her and then we
we're live
couldn't
right
hear her.
now. I know,
Okay.
I know. Isn't that awful? Technology, you know. Like I said, it's great when it works, and when it doesn't, oh boy, it's not so good. But you know what? We're on, we're live, and we're going to have a great show, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So first off, I want to start off by thanking our sponsors and our talent culture community, our friends, and our guests, of course, because all of you make this possible and make it happen every week. So thank you to all of you. So let's dive in. So today's topic is one that gets a lot of press. The impact of employee satisfaction is directly linked to productivity, and with that, majorly tied to customer engagement and satisfaction. So, given that we know this, why are we still talking about it? Well, simply because many companies are failing in this area. With the help of today's two fabulous guests, and they are fabulous, I just spoke with them yesterday, we're going to uncover the fundamentals of employee engagement and its close ties to customer satisfaction. So, it's with my pleasure to introduce you to today's Work Trends guests. First, Mary Poppen is Glint's Chief Customer Officer, responsible for driving and scaling the company's ability to delight its customers. She was previously the Global Head of Innovation Enablement at SAP SuccessFactors and Chief Customer Officer for SAP's Global Cloud Business. Mary holds a master's degree in industrial organizational psychology and has over 15 years of business consulting and leadership experience. She has published research and speaks frequently on the topics of performance and process improvement. In addition to all of that she's done, she is a well-recognized customer experience thought leader and presents at global events and conferences on this topic. And Mary serves on SAP's Customer Experience Council, Corporate Executive Board's Customer Experience Board, and is a member of the International Women in Leadership Association. That's very impressive. And our next guest is Dr. Sara Weiner. She is the Principal Consultant of Organizational Development Science at Glint. And before joining Glint, Sara held the position of Executive Consultant Leader in IBM Smarter Workforce, where she specialized in designing surveys, utilizing analytics to provide insight to the C-suite of clients, helping them to make sound business decisions about their workforce. She has deep expertise in the area of employee survey research, and specifically employee engagement and high performance. She's published articles and book chapters and has dozens of presentations at international conferences on many aspects of workplace talent, contributing to the attraction and retention of top talent and improved business incomes. And she is also a fellow of the Society of Industrial and Organizational Psychology, and she became a fellow in 2015. Wow, these are very impressive women. So welcome to you both, and again, so glad that you could join us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, it's my pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Well, let's start. So you both have very incredible backgrounds, very impressive. Is there anything that both of you would like to add to that?
Well, this is Sara Weiner. So, thank you very much for that kind introduction. I spent many years at IBM and then Connexa, and I just joined Glint last week, and I'm really excited about the science behind Glint's model and reporting and their technology and the talent they have on board. So it's a very exciting time in my career. Even though I've been in this business for 25 years, it's changing so much now. So very excited for the future.
Wonderful, and congratulations on the new position.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I, similar to Sara, I recently came to Glint. It's just a few weeks ago now. And the reason, really, the opportunity to connect employees at an individual level to business outcomes has always been a challenge. And I think there is now, with technology and analytics and the things that Glint is building, there's absolutely the opportunity to do that and to really change the way that companies are running and that employees are able to contribute and have that be visible and rewarded and focused on in a way that we've never been able to before. And so that's what I'm really excited about.
Well, it does sound very exciting, and congratulations to you as well, Mary.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So let's start. Let's go ahead and start digging in. So, whichever of you would like to answer this question first, how do brands get to the root problem of disengagement with their employees?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. So this is Sara Weiner again. There are a lot of approaches that can be taken, but what I think we've found to be the most effective is you design a survey very well. And in a well-designed survey program, that allows employees to share their feedback in a way that company leaders find clear, find important, it's credible, it's actionable. And what we do know is that disengaged employees affect a company's brand very negatively. So it's important to have frequent data with insights into areas of the business where action is necessary to improve. And you need that in real time. Waiting for it really puts the company at a great disadvantage because, again, those disengaged employees are affecting your brand every day.
So,
Mary,
Sara,
would you add anything to that? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yes. You go right ahead, and I have a question about that to you, Sara. When we come back.
Go ahead,
yes,
Cindy.
Mary. Okay. I was just going to ask Sara, so when you say companies shouldn't wait for it, what do you mean? Do you mean that they don't do enough surveys, they don't collect enough data points along the way during the year? They do like maybe just annual surveys? Is that what you're alluding to there?
Right. I mean, that's really been the primary focus. Is sometimes companies do a survey once a year. Sometimes companies do it every other year. I mean, can you imagine collecting any other business data less than once a year? How do you know how the business is doing? And the people who are interacting with your customers every single day, whether they are internally focused and focused on internal customers, or they're externally focused and focusing on your your customers in the marketplace, can you imagine not having that data as frequently as possible? So the trend, and I think it's absolutely the right trend, is to gather more frequent data. Now, this doesn't mean, 100-question surveys. This means very focused, science-based questions that are going to lead you to take prescriptive actions that you can do in real time and make a very impactful difference in your business.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Mary, what is your take on that?
I think historically organizations have recognized the importance of the employee engagement and contribution to the business, but have looked at it frequently in the sense of compensation as being maybe one of the key and sometimes sole drivers of getting people to want to do good things and stay with the company and, give customers a great experience and ultimately lead to great business outcomes. I think the reality is compensation is probably one of the top, tracked and reported on pieces of information, which makes it easier to be one of the focal points. The challenge is that's really, as we all know, right, only one piece of what may drive an employee to stay with an organization or be engaged. And now companies have the opportunity with technology and lots of different channels of information on their employees to look deeper, to Sara's point, to look deeper and more frequently into what is driving engagement. I think surprisingly to many leaders, compensation oftentimes is not a key engagement driver, but rather, just a decelerator when it's not to the point where an employee feels valued, right? But it sort of gets to a level of satisfaction, but then it doesn't drive further to boost an employee to really want to go the extra mile, to be all in for a company. And that's where I think we have the opportunity now to shift the mindset, shift the focus, and be much more employee-centric.
Okay. No, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. Kind of piggybacking on what you just said, Mary, I read an article where the author cited that great customer service is almost like an act of volunteerism on the part of the employee because they're taking on customer engagement to a higher and deeper level. That's an interesting take on service. Sara, what do you think about that?
Yeah, the interesting thing about the volunteerism part of it is that's really connected to this whole idea of going above and beyond for an organization. And that's long been a part of how the behavioral aspect of engagement has been talked about. When you can go all in, then you really increase that customer experience. You improve that customer experience. And that's a key differentiator. If your customers are talking about you and your products and your service in the marketplace, that makes a huge difference. Mary, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think, employees who love what they do and feel empowered to do their job pass on this kind of contagious enthusiasm, if you will, to their customers who then want to return. I'm sure we can all think of a time you walked into a business and immediately you could feel the energy, right? There's just this positive vibe. There's something about this company, and the employees are smiling or maybe laughing, maybe even bantering a little, and they greet you with warmth and energy, and the employee is completely focused on you and your needs, and it makes you feel like this is an unforgettable experience, something you want to do again. You'll tell all your friends. You might even tweet it or put it on social media. This type of all-in engagement, as Sara described, it absolutely is a differentiator for companies to drive satisfaction, customer satisfaction, to higher and higher levels. And without knowing what is driving that, what are those employees really excited about, and how do you create that kind of culture? Because it is going to be different for all different companies. Until you figure out that sort of magic sauce, you're kind of playing with your, in a mediocre space potentially. So it's a real opportunity for all companies to focus on getting their employees to that empowered, completely engaged, I feel like I want to do everything I can for my customers. I'm enjoying my job.
Yeah.
That should ultimately be the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't go into a lot of brick and mortars, but when I do, there are some that just stand out, and I feel like I could just stay here for hours because I'm so engaged with the customer service people, at that organization. When I go into the Apple store, very engaged. When I go into a Verizon store, very engaged. Starbucks, very engaged. It almost seems like, these companies, they know what that little secret sauce is, and they're really putting their employees in a position of empowerment and, enlisting them to want to serve the customers very, very well. And it's so obvious. It's just so obvious. So, yeah, I totally agree with what the both of you have said.
And it's obvious, on just tagging on what you were saying, Cindy, it's obvious also when they're not, right? So when you're used to that level of service from a company, whether it's brick and mortar or being online, whatever the interaction is, when it's not good, it stands out. And that's what, we were talking about a minute ago about, disengaged employees really affecting the brand.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And, the good companies that really are doing it right, they make the ones that are doing it wrong just make it look even more egregious. So, yeah, very, very much so. So given the importance of customer service to a brand's bottom line, why do so many companies neglect this resource? Why don't they equip their employees and give them job skills to develop themselves? It's really a head scratcher, knowing that there's such a direct correlation.
Yeah, Cindy, I would agree. This is Mary. I think, to me, my view is it's not typically intentional. And a lot of times companies will put a focus on it, but they don't know the full extent of the employee engagement. They don't understand fully what's going on in the customer experience, so good and bad, right? And so, and especially real time makes, a lot of organizations aren't there yet where they are able to have those real-time data and insights to take action. And so they say this is important, and they pick a few obvious things, right? Like, we're going to roll out something broad across the company to impact employee engagement. We're going to offer more development learning courses, as an example. And while there might be some slight improvement from taking some action, there won't be the optimal improvements that could be obtained if individual employee engagement and targeted actions, right, are aligned, or if those employees, to your point, given the job skills and the development and, new opportunities based on their interests, right, you're not going to see the optimal results that you could obtain. And today, again, today there's the technology is starting to pop up, like what Glint is doing, that allows companies to take a look deeper and at the individual level. And so these broad, sweeping engagement plans, which, by the way, are often based on outdated data, what Sara was describing earlier about the, the annual survey, right? 6 months in, you're acting on information that you got, 6 months ago. So are these actions even relevant any longer? And on top of that, they're a one-size-fits-all approach. So organizations are never going to get to the optimal level they could get to with that type of focus.
Right. So, Sara, what is your take on that?
Yeah, the technology supports and facilitates what should have been done all along, right? It was very difficult in the past to get frequent data. The other thing that's difficult are the analyses. So when we talk about immediately providing insight, what that means is you can't act on the entire company all at once. What you need to understand is, where are there some challenges that you need to address? What groups of employees are struggling, and what are the reasons that they're struggling, and then target that and immediately focus on those areas. So you need technology to support what people have always wanted to do, and that technology is here now. But that's what I'm so impressed with what Glint's platform is because we can get those insights right away, and that's just been a very big challenge. It's not that people don't want to do it; it's that some people aren't bought in. Some leaders aren't bought in, so I will say that. But a lot of leaders are bought in to the importance of engagement. Linkage research has been around for a couple of decades now, showing the relationship of that workplace experience and, more recently, engagement as it's been defined, and business outcomes. I mean, we know there's a relationship. So a lot of leaders have seen that, they buy into it. But the technology hasn't really been there to support the frequent data, the ease of getting the data, and then the insight, the actual analysis being available immediately. And so that, I think, will support organizations really being able to address issues quickly.
Yeah, good point. Very, very good point. And, technology, it's not the solution, it's the enabler. It allows the user to do their job better, more efficiently, more quickly. It's really there to empower the user. And I think sometimes people, they just don't realize that, this is to take administrative burden off of their plates. And to just make everything just easier, faster, and more well understood, right? Because a lot of data can be very daunting to weed through. And then if you don't really understand what you're reading and know how to compile it properly, well, that can go sideways very quickly as well. So, yeah, I can see where a tool like Glint or a platform like Glint would definitely be an asset to companies. Thank you. So,
I think that
on the top.
This is.
Oh no! Please go ahead, Mary.
I was just going to comment. I think your point, Cindy, is so right on. Oftentimes, managers are promoted and generally want to do good by their team, and oftentimes aren't given the training or the tools and resources to understand what actions to take to make things, better, a high-performing team, get better results. And I think related to people management and employee engagement in particular, managers haven't been given the insights, certainly not real time, maybe some, backward-looking data, but then they're sort of left with, okay, go drive improvements. But they don't know what to do, and they don't really know what to do on an individual basis. So another really important thing is companies need to arm their managers with how to understand the insights, how to take action, what are the possible things available to them that they can then try to figure out how to leverage with their individual, teams. And I just think that's a really key point. Technology can help with that. It can be an enabler, but it has to be provided to the leaders, and then they need to be, educated and supported on what to do with it, how to take action.
Right. Absolutely agree. Very good point. So I read something else recently, and I thought it was one of the most impactful things I read about employee engagement. It stated, a company's external customer service is only as strong as the company's internal leadership and the culture of commitment that this leadership creates. Now, that statement totally resonates with me. Now, and both Sara and Mary, you've kind of touched upon this, right? So what do you think about that statement? How does that resonate with you?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it really flows from the immediate discussion we were just having, because leaders have a huge effect on culture and directly on engagement in many companies. And when employees have leaders that they trust, whom they believe are making sound decisions for the future success of the company, then employees are more engaged in helping to achieve that success. So that translates back to what we were talking about earlier, going above and beyond, where you really you can feel the culture when you walk into someplace or when you're doing business with someplace, even if it's remotely. So when the employees are more engaged in helping to achieve the company's success, when they care about the future of the company because they're bought in, they're all in, then that translates to a greater focus on customer satisfaction. They're focused on the customers, they are focused on doing the right thing, and they're willing to go above and beyond in order to make that happen. So it's all related to the culture. Now, where does that culture come from? Right? You can't just go into an organization and say, here's the culture, we're going to be like this, right? It goes over time. There's certainly a lot of culture work that is done, and people who want to adopt certain ways of behaving in the organization, and that can all be done through education and through leadership communication. But really, when you get to a culture, it's definitely something that's both tops down and bottoms up. And the culture is created over time. And when it's customer focused, then that company can really, truly be successful. But the customer focus comes from really working on engagement.
Very, very good. Very, very nicely said, Sara. Mary, what is your take on that?
Yeah, I completely agree with Sara. I think there's a lot of factors that drive the impact on employee engagement and leadership and culture. Absolutely, very high on the list, and it is bottoms up and top down. I think if the leadership doesn't emulate and role model their own engagement and a customer-centric culture, the chances of the bottoms up, really having an effect, it's going to be harder. It's like pushing a boulder up a hill, right, to really make those changes. So when that leadership is completely aligned and engaged and there's a customer-centric culture that's modeled and employees are rewarded and the leadership is role modeling how to do the right things in alignment with that company culture, absolutely agree with Sara. There is this all-in, that vibe I was talking about. I think that is, the leadership is a key driver of that.
Yep. I think you're both spot on there. Thank you. One of the biggest factors in customer satisfaction lies with the knowledge of the employee population's understanding of the product and the service being provided. So when companies have high turnover and new employees constantly being brought in, that doesn't really give these individuals a chance to have that deep understanding of the company's products. And I can tell you, as a consumer, I can, and I mentioned it a few minutes ago, I can immediately tell when someone isn't going to be helpful or answer my questions in a way that satisfies my needs. So given this, why isn't more attention given to retention as part of the overall talent alignment and bigger company-wide business strategy? And we're down to 2 minutes, so we're going to make this real quick. Last comments by you both.
Okay, sure. This is Mary. It kind of goes back to what I was saying before in terms of I think it is an important priority for most organizations, and I do think they try to focus on it. I think the challenge has been getting the insights and the right data at the right time to apply in the right way to the right people. So all of those things needing to come together, has been a challenge. So if they're able to take technology, for example, take insights, take all of these pieces, they are going to be able to understand what really is driving retention and be able to make those changes. Right now, those blanket approaches just they're not cutting it.
And I'd add just really quickly, that we do know through research that retention is related to engagement. If you increase engagement, you reduce unwanted attrition. So that's an important focus that we need to continue to emphasize in companies.
Great. Very good. Excellent. Thank you very much, Mary and Sara. That was fantastic. You're both great guests. So appreciate it. So appreciate the information and your patience with our technology issues. But we're not done. We are now going over to the Twitter sphere, and we're going to continue this conversation with Mary and Sara right now. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you again, Mary Poppen and Sara Weiner from Glint as our special guest. They were wonderful, and we're going to continue talking with them right now. So let's get over to Twitter and follow the hashtag WorkTrends, and thank you all again. Bye.